Some backstory on Censor. With the interview with GQ, the question was, Censor feels like a significant departure. After almost 40 years of making manga, was it an active attempt to try something new and push yourself as an artist? Junji Ito answers, I don't know if it's my age, but I've noticed that I had less ideas coming to me lately. So when it came to Censor, I discussed it with my editor, and we started going into the direction of being more character focused, which is usually not my forte. I usually have an idea, then I create the story based on that idea. For example, you can see a little bit of it with the volcanic hair that appears in the book. I remember way back when reading a book on UFOs that talked about angel hair coming from the UFOs when they were sighted. It turns out it's actually volcanic hair, entirely scientific reason behind it. So there was that. And then after talking to my editor and deciding to be more character driven, we said, why don't we try it out? Chapter 1. Angel Hair. It starts with a woman walking near Mount Sengoku. Some hair-like threads are falling. The woman is thinking it's volcanic hair, but Mount Sengoku erupted decades ago, and pretty sure it hasn't been active recently. Plus, volcanic hair is made from strands of lava, so it's really hard, but this just bends in her hand, and it's a beautiful gold color. Even though volcanic hair is black in Japan, she blows the hair substance and it melts on the tree. She thinks to herself, volcanic hair doesn't just disappear, so maybe it's angel hair, but the nature of angel hair is still a mystery. Some people say it's spider silk, or it comes from UFOs. Then in the trail, a man is standing there with his eyes closed. She walks past him. He suddenly tells her that he's been waiting for her, and that the divine Amagami, the heavenly hair, told him that she would come. The woman responds, she doesn't even know what he's talking about, so she's going to go. Then he says out of nowhere, where do you intend to go? She starts to think to herself, where was I going? I just feel like I was drawn to the mountain somehow. Then the man says her name, Miss Kyoko Byakuya, then asks, how did you, but she gets cut off, and she is told to come to the village, and that the divine Amagami brought her here, and introduces himself as Aizawa. He leads the way. Kyoko is thinking, what is going on? I can feel the strange power pulling me in. They arrive at the village. It's called Kayakami. The village is shining with golden light. Kyoko is thinking, why is the village blanketed with the strange fiber? Ozawa answers, saying that it's called Amagami, the heavenly hair, and says elsewhere Amagami vanishes, but it lingers here. It's a sign that God truly loves the village of Kayakami. Ozawa decides to take her where she's gonna stay, and on the way over there, Kyoko sees people praying and seeing animals with the strange golden fiber connected to them. They arrive at the inn. Ozawa, he's going to be going now, but he asks her to come to the village hall tomorrow. The old woman offers Kyoko a dip in the hot springs. Kyoko then says, Ozawa is strange. It's like he could read her mind, and he even knew her name, and said that he was waiting for her. She wonders what that meant. The old woman says that the power is not limited to Ozawa. All the villagers have it. It's thanks to the divine Amagami. It sticks to them because of this connection. They gain the mysterious power. When they close their eyes tightly, they're able to feel the far reaches of space, and can also feel the minds of the other villagers. She cannot explain in words the bliss it gives her. While Kyoko is taking a bath, she sees lights in the sky, thinking it's a UFO. The next day at the village hall, Kyoko is surrounded by people. The old man says they've been waiting for her, and says that she is chosen by God, and that their village is beloved by God. Then some backstory. Long ago during the Edo era, when Christianity was prohibited, the people of this village sheltered the foreign missionary Miguel from persecution, but the shogunate eventually captured Miguel and sentenced him to death along with the villagers who protected him. He was thrown into the mouth of Sengoku. Amagami has danced down the volcano ever since. This village is the only place where it stays on the ground. We believe that the Amagami is in fact the missionary Miguel's beautiful hair. The older man says that the hair has brought them happiness, and that they come to worship the Amagami. And Ozawa says Miguel, the martyr, believed in Jesus Christ, but for those of us who possess the Amagami, Miguel himself is the object of their devotion. And it says for some reason there has been so much of this heavenly hair recently that it colors the village gold. They're unsure what to think of this change. There are rumors it's a good sign, and that the divine Amagami notified him that Kyoko was coming to the village, so she must be quite special, destined to bring them happiness. Kyoko responds saying she's not no special one, and she doesn't think that she has any ties to this village. She was going to leave that day. They beg her to stay, and that tonight the village plaza They're having a regular viewing of the night sky, so they beg her to stay, at least for that. All the villagers look into the sky with their eyes closed. Ozawa asks her if the sky is lovely, and when they look up in the sky, they consider the farthest reaches of the universe and the meaning behind the existence of life. And they ask her a question: do you know why life exists? Then Ozawa then explains, in order to fill the universe, the 5 senses we have in our bodies, these sensors, they exist not because they are necessary to live, but because they are necessary to fill the universe. Life exists to sense the universe. The amagami has the power to amplify these sensors. They need the amagami because they have a purpose to fill the Lord Miguel out there somewhere in the universe. Kyoko questions, out there somewhere, what do you mean? Wasn't Lord Miguel martyred on Sengoku? And amagami comes out of the volcano now, right? So why look to the universe? Ozawa responds, yes, the truth is Lord Miguel journeyed into space at the end of the Endo era. He was originally from the farthest reaches of the universe after all, but he left the blessed amagami for us. Then suddenly he looks up in the sky and points. See there, the golden amagami cover the sky. Ozawa says, amazing. More powerful than ever before. This too is the will of the amagami. It begins to cover them. They're all in this vision. They think this is the perfect opportunity, so everyone focuses their minds so they can sense the Lord Miguel. In a distance, they see a shadow and they think it must be Lord Miguel. Zooming in closer and closer, face is revealed looking back at him. They're shocked. No, that's not Lord Miguel. They look at the jet black hair. The icky black hair is covering us. It transitions to the scene in the next day, saying, last night around 9 p.m. Mount Sengoku stirred to life for the first time in 60 years. Towns in the area should be alerted for further eruptions. Later, some fire rescuers find a pyroclastic flow and says, this is where Keiakami village was destroyed and the last eruption 60 years ago. Then one of the fire rescuers point out some object. They don't know what it is. Lava? No, it's a massive fibers. It's shining with a golden light. They suddenly look at it. It starts to melt, revealing a person in there. It's Kyoko with golden hair. The narration of the page asks, had Kyoko wandered into the Keiakami of 60 years earlier, or has she seen a vision of the village? And what exactly was it that the villagers saw in the farthest reaches of space? This, along with the truth of the golden cocoon that melts away into nothing, all of it remained a mystery. Chapter 2, Akashic Records. This chapter starts with a man looking out of a plane window and noticing a cloud, or maybe smoke from a forest fire. It seems he is working on an article, but is still interested in the forest fire. He saw there's nothing in the news about it. Maybe he's just seeing things, he says. We learn the guy's name. His name is Rotaru. He is a no-name reporter. While scrolling on Twitter, he sees someone talking about the cloud he saw earlier, so he contacted the original poster and found where the photo was taken. While in the forest, he's thinking it's further than he thought. Then notices a woman run by quickly. He tries to chase after but ends up falling. Then says, is that actually Kyoko? Then he explains that she's a mysterious survivor of the Mount Sengoku eruption last year. There was all that media attention and then she vanished. He thinks if it's really her, he'll get a big scoop. He starts to call out to her. Then suddenly a man steps in front of Kyoko and grabs her. Another group grabs Wataru too. They tie them up and they're taking him somewhere. On the way over there, Wataru looks up and sees a cloud that has characteristics of a brain. He thinks to himself, the black cloud really does exist, but what exactly is it? They walk into a pyramid tent with an eye on it, and the man with the dark hair orders his group to tie Kyoko better this time so she won't escape. The other group members ask the dark-haired man what they should do with Wataru, but Wataru asks who the dark-haired man is. He introduces himself as Kagero Ito, leader of the Indigo Shadow Super Mystic Sim group. They're the only real seekers of universal truth. Ito then says now he'll tell Wataru who he is to prove the power is real, and he sits down and he says meditation, closes his eyes and opens them and says, your name is Rotaru, you are a no-name reporter, and says you came to the mountain after seeing a photo of a black cloud online. Then you happened to come across Kyoko from the news. You knew she was the mysterious survivor of the Mount Sengoku eruption. The world lost track of her whereabouts. You thought, if I could get the scoop, I'll be famous. So you chased her and we caught you. Rotaru says, I wasn't thinking that this will make me famous. But Ado just responds, no need to put on airs. Mr. Wataru, I see everything. also says, why, I can see into your mind because I'm accessing the Akashic Records. The Akashic Records document all living information about the universe, past, present, and future. A library of the entire universe, you might say. It's said to exist somewhere, but no one knows where. Ito says that he's been searching for many years, but he cannot find it. However, on the day Mount Sengoku erupted, God granted him enlightenment, and the god in the distant black space told him, meditate via the medium Kyoko. Then says in the eruption, she gained supernatural power of clairvoyance, and that they abducted her and began to meditate through her in this quiet valley. And it was actually a surprising sensation. I've never felt something such a thrill before. I finally discovered the Akashic Record, and says all that was left was to exhort all the information in the universe. But after a time, something strange happened. A black cloud grew in the sky above the valley. The wind did not move it simply hung over the valley, gradually growing larger. I realized it was no ordinary cloud, but it is the body of the Akashic Records. So as they meditate through Kyoko, they summon the Akashic Records. He never dreamed that there will be a form of a cloud, a real cloud. The digital cloud pales in comparison, but the cloud's growth is still only in its early stages. With their power, they'll make it grow into a supermassive cloud, encompassing all information in the universe. Kyoko says, you know nothing, and says, and what you're doing will have evil effects. Ito says he cannot read her mind because she is the medium, but Kyoko tells them that they must stop. Misfortune will fall you. Ito, he doesn't believe what she's saying, and then tells everyone to focus on meditation to summon the Akashic Records. Ito's eyes start to glow, as well as the followers' eyes, as well as Kyoko, but Kyoko seems to be in pain. Then suddenly the incredible energy became a ball of flames, and in an instant the fabric of the tent went ablaze. The fire burnt Wataru's rope, and he runs to Kyoko to cut her free. He glances up and sees something that looks like a brain starts drooping down, as well as eyes looking back at him. Kyoko says its nature has changed, it's coming down. Wataru was able to cut Kyoko down. They make a run for it. As the brain cloud falls onto the tent, Kyoko points and starts to run. Wataru followed her almost in a trance. He had no memory of anything along the way. He follows her into a cave, then asks, you know the clay pretty well, huh? Have you been here before? She responds, no. They finally reach the exit. Looking back on the valleys, it's completely covered in that cloud. Wataru asks if they stay like this forever, but Kyoko just runs away. The settlement of the Akashic Records soon disappeared without a trace. A dozen bodies thought to be the Indigo Shadow Group were found in the ruins, and Kyoko disappeared once more. Chapter 3, Hypnotherapy. The chapter starts with Wataru waking up to a strange voice saying, you're very relaxed, you smell the air, you touch something smooth, and you fly through the sky, dive into the ocean. And in the mountains of Gunma Prefecture, he talks about encountering Kyoko and how she had made a deep impression on him with her shining golden hair, and she disappeared again. And now Wataru is looking for her, and it's common knowledge that a mysterious golden cocoon protected her in the lava flow, and that she grew up in an orphanage, that she has no family. Wataru went to talk to firefighters and hospital personnel who rescued her. At first, he didn't find anything on her history or whereabouts until he found crucial information from one of the hospital staff. The man says when Kyoko was rescued, she had amnesia, so she was sent to a psychology professor. But to keep her from the media, she was admitted under utmost secrecy to a country psychiatric hospital his father runs. He thought she'll recover with the treatment there. Wataru asks for the name of the professor. His name is Professor Kurodera of Hyukyuin University. His father operates outside of U City, so Wataru got in touch with Hyukyuin and found out that Professor Kurodera was on long-term leave of absence, so he quickly set out for U City. He arrives at the clinic, but an older man opens the door and says that he doesn't want to talk to media, so please leave. But Wataru insists because he met Kyoko. They sit down and he says that he did treat her and that she did lose her memory when she was brought in, or he felt that she appeared to be in a state of innocence, like when a person wakes up right before the merciless realities comes flooding in. He got the impression that she was in a moment of bliss. His son was the one that brought Kyoko and wanted help in treating her. The dad notices her hair. The son gives some backstory saying that she was rescued from Mount Sengoku, around where Kayakami was 60 years ago. He asks his dad, that's where you're from, right? Must be kind of strange connection that a survivor from there will end up here. Wataru is surprised that the old man, Kurodera, I almost start calling him this, the dad, is from Kayakami. Dr. Kurodera explains that Kayakami was destroyed in the eruption 60 years ago, and that he left the village a month before that. His family and relatives all died, and they believed in the amagami, the golden hair that rained from the sky. It poured onto the village, it would stick to their heads. The villagers with the amagami had strangely heightened perceptions. They could understand each other without words. Some say they can see the far reaches of the universe thanks to the amagami. Wataru asks if the amagami stuck to Kurodera. Wataru then notices the golden hair shining off of him, then puts together that Kyoko's hair is amagami. Transitions to the son telling the dad that he wants to focus on hypnotherapy to call her memories back. After getting Kyoko totally relaxed, he asked her all kinds of stuff to bring her memory back. It was about an hour into the session when she suddenly wakes up screaming. She's completely frightened, shaking. The son tries to calm her down, but she's even more frightened. The dad says, I sensed then that her time of bliss had ended. The son calls for the dad's help, but the dad explains she is in a very hypersensitive state. She's being pulled back into reality. Her heightened senses have reawakened. Most likely the hypnosis is bringing back her memories and hypersensitivity with it. There must be a connection between those senses and the amagami. The dad tells his son Yukio to stop this. The hypnotherapy, Kyoko starts saying planets are vanishing, so many of them. The creatures of this planet evaporate with it, and that the planet exploded, and inside her pupil looks like a galaxy. Yukio says that she's delirious, she's dreaming this. The dad says no, she's not. Most likely she's seeing things that are actually happening in the distant universe, and he points out the hair again. He's never seen anyone with so much amagami. Her mind must be terrifyingly sensitive. She really is witnessing an awful sight of a planet and all the life on it destroyed, and not just that, all the information in the universe is likely pouring into her brain. They talk in the hallway. The dad explains to Yukio, amagami, Kyoko is in a state of panic. They're trying everything. Just when they thought she reached her physical limit, she seemed to have calmed down. Yukio thinks finally the meds are working, but his dad responds, no, it's likely that she found it. Yukio, like what? She found a way to shut off information pouring in. The art of closing the so-called psychic eye. Even though she had calmed down, they were still unable to communicate with her. The dad says, perhaps it's taking everything she has to shut off her senses, and has nothing left for communication. Yukio thinks they should resume the hypnotherapy because she has closed her psychic eye. They might find some results now, so that's when Yukio decides to postpone his return to university and focus on the treatment. He's alone with Kyoko, and he asked her, do you understand what I'm saying? If so, breathe slowly out and breathe in. She does that. The dad asks Yukio for updates. He responds, yes, actually we can understand each other now. The dad responds, so you're talking with her? It's not much as talking as a thinking through hypnosis. We don't exchange words, we share feelings. It's a wonderful experience. I make a new discovery every day. Just as you said, she perceives the truth of the universe. Thanks to our psychic communication, I can pick up on that. So he finally learned the truth of the universe and life in it. Then asks his dad, do you know what the universe is or the meaning of life in the universe? The dad responds, no. The universe is the ultimate work of art made by the creator, and the life in it is the audience. No matter how great the work, if there's no one there to appreciate it, then it basically doesn't exist. We must view the universe, appreciate it, saint ourselves on it. That is the sole purpose of life. His pupil looked as the same as Kyoko, a galaxy within it. Dr. Kurodera tells Wataru he realized his son's treatment was moving in a strange direction. You can't treat a patient by connecting with them subconsciously. His son was being swallowed up by Kyoko. Right after that, she was abducted. Wataru chimes in saying, yeah, she was taken by a cult. The dad responds, alright. At any rate, his son Yukio lost her, and he started to slide into madness. Dr. Kurodera was watching from the hallway as his son's breaking down, saying, where are you, Kyoko? The smoothness of it, the sweet taste from your neck to your lips, my senses exist only to feel her. The dad is shocked by this, saying, how exactly were you treating her? Yukio says, why didn't I see it before? She herself is the universe. All life in the universe should gaze upon Kyoko, and I am this universe's greatest admirer. Soon after, Yukio started hypnotizing himself. The dad's thinking maybe this is how he was communicating with Kyoko. Yukio's vision is him admiring Kyoko, saying, I praise the creator of this masterwork. I am the greatest admirer in the universe. My eyes, my nose, my tongue. While he says that, it seems that stuff is coming out of those. His dad watches in horror from the door. Sarasu, there's a pale knight on her neck. Aldebaran is her sweet lips. He continues to say stuff like that. Wow, eyes are popping out, as well as his tongue, saying, I feel her. My eyes, my ears, my nose, my tongue, I feel her. He repeats the same thing, but his condition gets worse and worse. And Dr. Kurodera, his dad, pleads with Yukio, come back to your senses. Then suddenly he burst. Yukio became an enormous neuron creature and scattered into the night sky. Dr. Kurodera, his dad, breaks down crying, saying he became the such thing because he already had it in him. Perhaps it's something to do with the Heiakami blood. The amagami had some kind of effect on my son through me. Later, Wataru's laying down, thinking I had no intention of writing an article about the Kurataras and Kyoko. I hesitate to even investigate further myself because his train of thought gets cut off by voices saying, "You're getting very relaxed," and you feel his eyes start to pop out and his tongue saying, "Your nerve cells are scattering into the universe." Then he jolts awake saying, "Even now I hear a strange voice. I don't know if it's Yukio's or not." Chapter 4, Battle at Bushigora. Kyoko walks off a cliff and falls into the water. Then it cuts to Wataru waking up thinking a dream of Kyoko committing the S-word. But that cliff, I've seen it before, but where was it? The next scene, Kyoko's looking over a cliff, then a girl notices her and walks up and says, "You've been standing here for a long time. How about taking a break at the tea house for some coffee?" Kyoko agrees. On the way over there, the girl tells Kyoko to watch her step and be careful of those bugs. They sit down and the girl tells Kyoko, her and the owner seen her out there all day. They patrol the area and also said that the cliff here at Bishigura is famous for the S-word. People who are tired of life often come here and they go and talk with them to get them to change their mind. But the girl tells her to make it clear that she's not saying Kyoko's here to do that, but if you need to get something off her chest, she's here. Kyoko responds, "I guess maybe I was wanting to die." The girl is happy to talk to her about it and we find out that her name is Ri Kurita, and she asks Kyoko what's her name, but she doesn't know, and the owner overhears this and walks over and asks where she's from and if she lives nearby. Ri offers Kyoko to stay at her house if she doesn't have anywhere to go. They arrive at Ri's house and we find out that she lives by herself and she's originally from Tokyo, but she moved out here to volunteer at Bishigora. Then suddenly she notices a bug on the ground. She says that there's a big outbreak this year. They might not look it, but they're super fast. Plus they drop all over the place and get under your feet like they want you to step on them. Also the fat body is packed with tons of organs, so I guess it's really something if you step on one, and the people out here call them the S-bugs because they're always jumping under people's feet and getting crushed. S-bugs in the S-place. I don't know if it's ironic or what. Ri reveals why she came to Bishigora, because back in Tokyo she was with the guy and they're going to get married. He was very sensitive and kind. She explained that the relationships were hard for him. So it was Christmas Eve 2 years ago. They're waiting at the train station. The intercom goes off saying that the train will arrive shortly and please stand behind the yellow line. The boyfriend suddenly jumps in front of the train. Kyoko sees that vision and it's getting poured into her head. Ri, still panicking, saying it was right in front of her and says she couldn't save him, so she thought the least she can do is save others here. Ri sees Kyoko having a hard time as well, so she apologizes and says that she'll make some more tea. But as soon as she opens the door, she sees one of those S-bugs. It leaps towards her. She gets scared and takes a step back, but it quickly goes under her foot. She steps on it. Upon closer look, the bug's organs look like some kind of head and body. The next scene, Wataru is at the same cliff as Kyoko. That was from his dream, but wonders if Kyoko is really here. Suddenly the coffee owner comes out and says, "You've been out here for quite some time. Is there anything the matter?" He invites Wataru for coffee, but Wataru asks him a question. If he's seen the one with the beautiful golden hair come by here recently. The shop owner says, "Yeah, he did. Is she a friend?" Wataru is quick to ask, "Did she come here? She didn't jump, did she?" The owner says, "No, we're worried about that." So we started to talk to her, saying that she lost her memory. At any rate, my employee took her home. Wataru asks if he's able to see her. The shop owner obviously asked the question, but how do you know her? When Wataru is about to answer, he steps on a bug. Then the shop owner looks down. Wataru says that he stepped on another of those bugs, but he says not on purpose. They just keep jumping under his feet and making a weird noise when they crush. They look at the insides, and the shop owner says, "Yeah, it looks like a person somehow. Here's the head, then the torso," and they both look closer. The shop owner says, "It looks like the guy who drowned himself 3 months ago." But the shop owner says, "Oh yeah, I'll take you to the one with the golden hair, Kyoko." Kyoko and Ri come to the same realization as well, but instead the inside of this bug looks like Ito. Ri begins to break down crying, saying, "Why'd you leave me all alone?" Kyoko starts to think that she feels some evil power. If I activate my sensors, I might be able to find out what it is. The panel starts zooming into the insides. Then it starts to call out, making a weird sound saying, "I'll never forgive you. I know you were cheating on me, so I killed myself to bear a grudge against you. I knew about the rendezvous at the hotel and the embrace on the street with your ex." Then suddenly Ri steps on it over and over, but more of those bugs starts coming in, and when they get surrounded, they try to go outside, but every time they try to make a step, the bugs try to go right under their feet. Ri says, "Just stop it already," and then starts stepping, but every time she steps, voices are heard. "I hurt so much. We didn't commit S because we wanted to. Well, we kept dying if it means we could find peace." Ri screams, but Kyoko realizes, saying, "This is not where you belong. You must go back. Come with me." And she runs. All the bugs begin to follow her down the street and runs past Wataru, goes back to the cliff, and jumps into the water. Narration says after that almost all the S-bugs disappeared into the ocean with Kyoko. I don't know what happened to her after that, but I believe she's alive. Chapter 5, Traffic Mirror. The chapter starts with the narration that there was another eruption a month ago at Mount Sengoku, largest since the volcano became active 2 years ago. Massive amounts of volcanic hair were blown into the air. Volcanic hair is created when filaments of molten lava cool, harden into thin-like strands. But Mount Sengoku's volcanic hair is very supple, just like real hair. The wind carried it into the distant Kanto plain, even to Tokyo. Fibers lashed onto everything. Although the wind and rain cleared most of it away, some volcanic hair still remained in places around town. It usually comes to a variety of colors, but this kind was jet black and very flexible. Apparently this was quite unusual. Some said that the golden volcanic hair had fallen from Mount Sengoku in the past. I assume this was the amagami that blanketed the extinct village of Keiakami and the eruption 60 years earlier. When seeing amagami, he couldn't help but think about Kyoko. It's very likely this amagami is what protected her in the eruption of Mount Sengoku 2 years ago, and that beautiful hair of hers and her psychic eye. Where is she now, he thinks. The last time he saw her was at the ocean at Bishigora. Wataru thinks she's still alive and wants to dream of her again, but hasn't since. And he thinks if he dreams, he might learn where she is, or if he has clairvoyant, he can find her. But instead, lately he's been dreaming of another woman. This woman in his dream tells him, Wataru, remember me, Beneko Yamaoka. He explains that she started stalking him after they met at work 5 years ago. For a year now, she had followed him around, eavesdropped on him. He even got a restraining order from the police and never saw her after that. However, the last 4 years, nothing. Then suddenly letters started coming in again. They noted his doings in great detail, every one of them correct. She has definitely been watching him again. He checked his apartment looking for listening devices or hidden cameras, but nothing. Another letter came in that day saying, Wataru, you're still hung up on Kyoko. Give up already. She's too much for you, and she doesn't even see you. I'm the only one who can make you happy. Wataru thinks she knows I've been chasing Kyoko, even though I still haven't written a single article about her. Then he says he reported her to the police again, but he doesn't know where she's at. While walking, Wataru thinks he doesn't know if it's a private investigator or Beneko, but they're not getting away with this. Suddenly a car starts speeding towards him. He barely dodges it, then it runs into a pole. He runs to the driver saying, what are you doing? The driver apologizes to Wataru, saying that he got the gas and the brake mixed up, but Wataru says, so? You weren't trying to hit me? The driver says, why would I? But he says sorry. He knows the traffic mirrors are bent now, but maybe keep this quiet. He reverses and drives away, hits other poles on the way out. Wataru is walking away. He glances at the traffic mirror and notices Beneko looking back at him. Then he quickly looks in the direction of where she would be at, but nothing's there. He glances right back at the mirror, but her face is more apparent. Wataru grabs a brick and throws at the traffic mirror, but the reflection of Beneko says back at him, it's no use. I can see you no matter where you are. Wataru runs away, thinking it's a hallucination in his head. Wataru's back at home on his bed watching the news. Then it starts talking about an incident saying a 25-year-old woman was arrested for breaking a traffic mirror in a certain ward this afternoon. The woman was talking incoherently of being watched from afar through a traffic mirror. While the woman is getting arrested, she says, true, you have to believe me. He's watching me from afar through the traffic mirrors. He's stalking me. I broke the mirror in self-defense. The newsman says that there's been a mass of similar mirror breakages around the nation, but strangely, all the suspects gave the same reason. The police can't confirm if it's explicit substance that were involved, and the subject is to undergo psychological evaluation. While some experts are considering it's a mass hysteria, Wataru starts to think about his incident. Beneko is watching from a distance to the traffic mirrors. Is that even possible? The newsman talks about vehicles crashing into mirrors and fleeing the scene because there are reports of bent poles and other damages from these incidents in several regions. But the police see these hit and runs since unrelated to the people breaking traffic mirrors. They became the focus of public attention, a strange social phenomenon. Then the next segment on the news report says they got an expert to discuss the traffic mirror urban legend. The expert says, obviously you can't observe afar through a series of traffic mirrors. They likely mean someone's watching them through reflections and the mirrors, like this diagram. But even supposing you can see in the distance with the telescope through multiple mirrors, actual roads are more complex, and there are any number of intersections without mirrors at all. So the majority of mirrors don't face each other. They're angled to make it easier for the drivers to see around. So if you change those angles in order to have a distant mirror reflect each other, Wataru runs back to the traffic mirror that he damaged earlier, thinking, are the traffic mirror violations and the hit and run accidents really unrelated, and thinking that he's also guilty of property damage. But he wants to check this out, then he'll turn himself in. He climbs the mirror, uses binoculars, and looks at the other traffic mirror and says he knew it. He could see the other mirror over there, and this tilted one. So the accident did make the mirrors face each other. Is it a coincidence? And he starts to think, what if that driver was deliberately hitting and bending impulse to make the mirrors face each other, and in that case, are all the hit and runs across the country the work of one man or group? Then he is hit with a thought. There's no way someone could get the right angle just by hitting a pole with the car. Then Wataru notices hair-like string on the traffic mirror. He goes back to the clinic earlier and asks Dr. Kurodera about the volcanic hair he found on the cracked mirror and wants to know his opinion. Dr. Kurodera bends it and it snaps. They decide to take a closer look at it, saying that the surface is black, but the inside is transparent, like volcanic glass fiber. So in theory, it can be used as a fiber optic material, like used in endoscopes. Wataru responds, oh, so like that thing bends, you can see with the light, right? Yep, you can see in the direction the scope it is bent in. Wataru finally understands. Suddenly, a voice is heard saying, that's quite enough. A group of people, but one guy steps up and says, Mr. Tachi Sayato, you're sniffing around too much. It was the driver from earlier, and Beneko's there too. Suddenly, everything went black, and he wakes up in an unfamiliar room with Dr. Kurodera. Wataru asks, what's going on? But he tells him they barged in a little before he did. I suppose they guessed that you'll come. Beneko says, yes, we can see everything, and says that they have one ultimate goal, but they have to achieve a number of targets first, and the target is him, to make him hers. That should give her enough energy. Then explains that at the end, we use clairvoyance. The power is still developing, but it will be established soon. So they're making last minute adjustments to the traffic mirrors all over Japan. But what's more important is the power of the black amagami. Now that they scattered hairs all over the country, catch reflections from the mirrors throughout Japan. So their sight reaches into every corner of the country, and it will expand to the entire world. Finally, and a voice behind her agrees and says, to every corner of the universe. And she explains that the leader's ultimate objective is to know the full history of the universe. Then a voice behind a curtain says yes, but for that we need the power of Kyoko, and he's searching for her. They pull back the curtain, revealing the man from the second chapter. Chapter 6, Jet Black. Wataru is surprised to see Kojiro Ito alive, the guy from the second chapter, but he explains how he survived, saying that during the meditation, the 4 members of the Indigo Shadow were crushed by the incomplete Akashic records. They all died, but he was spared because of the great god of the distant darkness rescued him and gave him special powers. But he suffered terrible burns. He didn't give up obtaining the Akashic records, the library of the universe recording all information about the universe's past, future, and present. With this power from God, accessing the records going to become reality. But they still need Kyoko and her psychic eye for this, but they still can't find her. Is she dead? Ado says, no, she has to be alive. The proof is in Dr. Kurodera. He can sense her through him. He has the golden hair as she does. A bit, only a little. Ado says that Dr. Kurodera is from the village Heiakami, which was destroyed in the eruption of Mount Sengoku 62 years ago. Right before the village vanished, golden hair called the amagami fell on it. This amagami was the hair of the persecuted missionary Miguel. The villagers who hit him were punished by being thrown into the volcano alongside him. After that, golden hair started falling out of the volcano's mouth. Those were the pieces of his hair stuck to them, and they had their senses enhanced. Miguel blessed the villagers, including Dr. Kurodera, but ironically, the village was annihilated, and in the eruption, Dr. Kurodera was one of the survivors, and then Kyoko, throughout the eruption 2 years ago, was protected by a cocoon of golden fibers on the side of Heiakami. Her hair has been replaced by the golden amagami. She was also chosen for an unknown reason. Meanwhile, black volcanic hair has been coming from the volcano in recent years. The hair of the great god of the distant darkness. Ado saying that he is the dark god's chosen one, but he doesn't know the connection between Miguel and the dark god and why it's coming out of the same volcano. But at any rate, the doctor must know something about Kyoko. Dr. Kurodera stays silent. Ado says through meditation they will extract the information about her. Ado tells Wataru he will be useful as a medium as well as the other people who met Kyoko. They pull back the curtain. Wataru's thinking they're the firefighters from Mount Sengoku, the medical personnel, as well as people from the tea house in Bishigura, the volunteer Ri, and all the people he met reporting on Kyoko and had been abducted. These are the mediums who had recorded traces of her in their hearts and bodies. So they move everyone outside. Wataru tells Beneko, do you think you get away with this? She responds, it's finally time for my dreams to come true. You're mine. Now Ado predicts another eruption will come soon, and it will bring them a vast sea of jet black hair, and says that the black hair will give them powers, in which they will use to seek out Kyoko and the universe is theirs, and that they'll have her clairvoyance. Then he tells his followers to stay close to the mediums and extract all the information on Kyoko, even if they can't identify her in them. The followers start getting close to the mediums start crying out. Then Ito says, meditation, stage 1. Great God in the distant darkness, give us further power. Jet black God in the far reaches of the universe, hear our prayers. And it says, fill the jet black God. Only those chosen can know. Focus your entire being on jet black hair. Beneko has black hair coming out of her eyes and face, and those hairs start connected to Wataru. The mediums are in pain. Ito says, now meditation, stage 2. Summon the whole of the creation beneath the jet black God. Those with forms, those without. Focus every nerve. Feel Kyoko. Dr. Kyoradora looks up in the sky. Then the object in the sky starts saying, I feel her. My ears, my nose, my tongue. Dr. Kyoradora yells to the sky, Yukio, my son. Yukio continues to talk. Magellan is her elegant blossom. Sombrero is her sainted womb. Dr. Kyoradora yells, Yukio, please be at peace. Ado says meditation, stage 3. Feel the darkness, feel the jet black hair. Beneko tells Wataru she'll make him forget. She'll suck Kyoko out of him. Wataru is able to break free from the hair and tells Ado to stop. But Ado is enormous. He thinks it has to be a hallucination. Beneko tackles him again, saying, I won't let you go. Suck everything inside of you. Images of Kyoko are going through the black hair. Ado says stage 4, intensive meditation. Then suddenly the volcano erupts. Then black hair starts raining down from the sky, slowly covering everyone except Dr. Kyoradora, who was watching and saw this happen. Within the big globs of hair, you can hear people screaming, help me. But these screams are not coming from the abductees, but the believers. Dr. Kyoradora starts to put things together. Right now, they must be experiencing the far reaches of the infinite. Then suddenly those big hairballs start to melt, then revealing all the believers. They're all laughing, but all the abductees, their bodies and skin, they're all removed. All that remain is the skeleton. Beneko starts panicking, saying, Wataru's gone, and says, Kyoko, you never find her no matter how you search. Then suddenly she yells out, Kyoko is not in this world. Wataru is an unknown place. He sees Mount Sengoku, but he thinks it's weird because it just erupted. There's no smoke coming from it. Then suddenly he sees Kyoko. She turns around and he says, I finally found you. Final chapter, light and dark. Kyoko says to Wataru, what are you doing here? He doesn't know either. Then Kyoko looks up and says that deep darkness is coming, and she starts to run away. Wataru chases after her and sees a village of Kayakami. He thinks to himself, I don't know why, but I sense that this settlement below us was Kayakami. That's ridiculous because Kayakami was wiped out in the eruption 62 years ago. He follows her to an old house. Kyoko knocks and an old man lets him in. A group of people are sitting around a man, but they're all dressed odd. Wataru asks, who are they? But they ignore him. Then the guy with the golden hair says, after these trials, the sun will go dark, and the moon and the stars will lose their light, and in a nominee will be seen in the heavenly bodies. At that time, God will appear, and all these sorrowing people on the earth will see God shining with light. They will all start crying and praying such blessings. Father Miguel. Then Wataru's like, what? Father Miguel? Kyoko says, Father Miguel, the anomaly, the black darkness is approaching. We should leave here. Go somewhere else. He just says, all you go. I no longer have the strength. I shall obey my destiny. Wataru's watching, finally thinking, could I have traveled back in time to when Christianity was prohibited? Then the group of people say they're going to stay with him. The people of the group tell Kyoko that she should leave because she came from somewhere else, that she helped them and Father Miguel since she came to the village. And thanks to her guidance, they were able to escape the shogunate officials number of times. And from how she looks, they think that she's from the west, and they ask her where she's really from. Then a little girl said that she's an angel, but Kyoko just sits there. A man looks outside and notices that it's dark, but it's no time for a sunset yet. Then the rest go look and they're like, yeah, you're right, this is an obvious sign the anomalies are coming, just like Kyoko said. And the group try to convince Father Miguel that it's not a good sign, that they should really move. While they're still trying to plead with Father Miguel, Kyoko walks to the window, but Miguel telepathically is telling Kyoko, saying, please forget about me. I'm tired. I'm facing a crisis of faith. I'm tortured with the guilt for putting the villagers in this predicament. Wataru's thinking, why would Father Miguel say that, and how am I hearing them? They decided to carry Father Miguel out of the house, and suddenly a man in the distance is walking towards them. They think it's a monk, so they continue to leave. Then suddenly they get surrounded, and the guy says, you slipped past me before, but I finally found you. The monk told us where you were, and he tells the Christian missionary to come out quietly. Then he points to Kyoko, saying that her colored hair, that's the Westerner, but he never heard of a woman missionary before. Then thinks, exposed skin, strange clothes, she's a Western prostitute. Wataru says, what is this, a theater? To pretend that it's some past era? He said quit it already, but then the main boss continues to talk, saying that the monk has smoked them out and a dozen people in Heiakami, suspected of being Christian. They have been rounded up in the village plaza. That's where all of you are going. Wataru's like, did I just get ignored again? Then he starts to think, maybe these people can't see me, and the monk suddenly rings a bell. The sky turns black. Well, it's still supposed to be daytime. Then one of the guys think that this may be the work of the Christians. The main boss guy yells at the missionaries, saying that step on the likeness of Jesus now. By doing so, you acknowledge that you're not Christian and you're free to go. And the monk speaks out, saying there's no need for them to be stepping on likenesses. It won't mean anything. It won't mean they're not Christians. Someone will happily step on it from officials. These people are definitely Christians. There's no reforming them now. So what to do? We should make them bear the crosses and climb Mount Sengoku. But the main guy doesn't agree with this idea and says, you're not doing yourself any favors getting carried away here. The monk, he rings the bell. Their faces are shocked. His eyes starts to glow behind the hat. Suddenly, they're doing what the monk's punishment, carrying the crosses. They're climbing on top of Mount Sengoku. Everyone is struggling. Wataru tells Kyoko, are you okay? Hang on to me. And she says she can't. Wataru says, don't act tough. Just grab onto my shoulders. He tries to grab onto her and his hands completely go through her. Kyoko says, you can't touch us because you're not actually from here. You're only sent in this era. But appreciates the thought though. Suddenly, Father Miguel falls. He says he can no longer walk. One of the random soldiers tell them, what are you doing? Keep climbing. Kyoko helps him climb the rest of the way. Kyoko begins to talk to Father Miguel telepathically, saying she came from the future to meet him, to ask him directly. She survived Mount Sengoku and gained a strange power that was called clairvoyance. Was this his will? Why did you choose me? She says, and says that her psychic eye is closed and she cannot see his will clearly. Father Miguel responds, he wasn't the one that chose her, God did, and the true nature of the universe is darkness, and she can be the point of the light in it. The light is hope. God considers you a light of hope. You are the angel God guides you to Heiakami and gave you this clairvoyance to see through the deep abyss of the universe and this power to conquer darkness. They're all mounted on the top of the edge of the volcano. The monk commands the soldiers to go down the line and kick them and their crosses into the volcano. They'll be the material for Sengoku's volcanic hair. They begin to do so. One by one, they begin to fall. Wataru watches. The monk now has a question for Miguel. Did God create the universe? Miguel responds, yeah, of course. God created heaven and earth. God separated night and day and made earth, the sea, and all living creatures. The monk responds, no, you're wrong. I made the universe. I am the creator of the universe. Actually, to be more precise, I will be the creator. The space, God, liquid, and stone that exist in your universe essentially did not exist until I sensed them. The universe can exist because I exist. I gave Sengoku's jet black volcanic hair a shock to awaken it. It's only a matter of time before I learn the entire history of the universe. I will steal Kyoko's clairvoyance, and when I kill her, I will become the creator. I am a presence early beyond time. He takes off his hat, revealing that he's all bandaged up. It's Ito. He explains that he attained great power when enveloped in the jet black hair that day, and he says it seems that Wataru gained some power, that he was able to travel in time with them, but the power is insignificant, saying he will have the Akashic records in a moment, but for that he needs Kyoko's psychic eye. He removes the bandage, revealing his face, then says, Kyoko, I will take your clairvoyant. Then the black hair goes towards Kyoko. She tells him, you seem to have gotten the wrong idea about this power God gave me, but if you want it, you'll have it. I'll just release it right now. Her eyes glow white. A big flash explosion happens. Ito's last words is God. Big smoke is released into the sky. Ito's face is shown in it. It's all over in an instant. A massive cloud of jet black gas shot up into the darkness of the sky and disappeared. Then Kyoko and Miguel fall into the volcano. While falling, Kyoko's golden hair wrapped around both of them to become a ball of divine light. It disappeared into the darkness. Wataru wakes up back in his own time. Dr. Kuratoro is confused witnessing this. Wataru asks about all those people, but Dr. Kuratoro explains that they're all mad. When they emerged from the black cocoons, most likely they saw the far reaches of the universe. Suddenly, the haunting image from the first chapter appears again, saying, my senses have been heightened ever since. It was an unsettling jet black darkness, but there was one point of light inside. This light seemed to grow each and every day, and it began to be troubled by a bizarre vision. I sensed that darkness would not win over this light, but the battle between light and dark is fierce. One step forward, one step back. There's still no sign of the end. The village of Heiakami, supposedly blessed by the golden amalgamy, was destroyed in the eruption of Mount Sengoku. The journey to light victory is still ahead.